You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
Tuning in to the Lyndia Grant Show. I'm so happy that you joined us today. We have another exciting show planned for you. Part 2, we're going to be talking about the Viola T. Lewis Memorial Highway celebration that's coming up in Detroit, Michigan. And today we're going to have Dr. Viola T. Lewis's granddaughter, Dr. Violet Ponders, as our guest from Detroit, Michigan. We're going to also have Dr. Julianne Malvo to talk politics. And so we thank you for tuning in. I want to say hello to Dr. Ponders. Are you there, Dr. Violet?
Yes, I'm there, but it's kind of difficult to hear you. It's better now. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you. We have a little transition in our show, so we'll be all right now that the opening is over. So I'd like to welcome everyone to our show. I think that the guests could hear us. It was loud for us. But I'm going to go and talk to Dr. Julianne. Are you there, Dr. Julianne?
I sure am, and it was loud for us, too.
I think it just loud for those of us on the background, but I think it was okay to the listeners, I hope. Anyway, we're going to get that part together. Sometimes you have to transition into new people. So, Dr. Julianne Malvo is a college president emeritus of Bennett College, and I always like to remind people that she also is the president of the youth department at, I'm not looking at my notes, but the Rainbow Coalition under Reverend Jesse Jackson. And right now she is the dean of a department at the California State, LA. And so we're so happy to have her on with us today. I'm just talking off the top of my head, Dr. Julianne. I like for them to know you are somebody. And she's written a lot of books and been all on TV and everywhere. So, Dr. Julianne, talk to us a little bit about politics.
Okay, well, it's been a great, busy political week. Congress has been out. And by the way, thank you for the opportunity to visit you and your listeners every week. I really do appreciate it. It gives me the opportunity to keep my tops up in terms of looking at the news. From the eyes of folks not on top of it. So Congress is out. The Senate and the House are out. They should be back after Labor Day. They have to go back to some emergency, but I don't see any emergencies occurring right now. There are two big pieces of news, and depending on whose newspaper you pick up, you get a sense of where we are. If you're looking nationally, internationally, people are talking about Afghanistan. If you're looking
to the window, closer to the window, Dr. Julianne. You're cutting up a little bit.
Okay. But if you're looking nationally, what you're going to see is Afghanistan. If you're looking locally, you're going to see essentially COVID, because COVID is back in the news, and not only back in the news. People, 20,000 kids in Mississippi. 20,000 kids in Mississippi have been infected. Mississippi and Alabama are among two of the worst states. They also happen to be the states with the lowest level of vaccinations. I had to laugh. None of this is funny. I had to laugh. Who said, is the reception better?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. But I had to laugh. A doctor said he would not treat patients. He said he would not treat patients who had not been vaccinated. And I had to just laugh at that for a moment, because I'm like, But he told them to get vaccinated. He begged them to, and they wouldn't. And so now he's like, heal yourself, because he does not want to get hurt or to have anybody in his family hurt. So COVID is still in the news. California, we've gone back into everything we did. I had my first college meeting yesterday. We had to do it virtually. I was looking forward to meeting people and all that. Nope, we had to do it virtually. And the convocation was held virtually also. So we're inching back to those restrictions. So people still want to hang out. People want to be outside. And so it's a tough row. It's a tough tension. So that's COVID, but we knew it wasn't going to go away. And we know that we're still not anywhere near, we're not near 65%. We get herd immunity at 70, and we're something closer to 62. And in states like Mississippi and Alabama, we're closer to something like 50. And isn't it poetic justice? I appeal to no one, but that the governor of Texas has been diagnosed with COVID. It's just poetic justice. You've been no masks. Hello. So that's COVID. On the flip side, what can we say about Afghanistan? We lost thousands of young men and women there. To what end? And so the Biden administration is getting a lot of splashback. China is angry, but I'm not thinking about China. I'm thinking about people who lost their sons and their brothers and their husbands and their sisters and aunts to the war in Afghanistan, and one would have to say why. Pardon, you can't hear me?
Not very much, yeah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Julian. We're going to go ahead and go to our commercial break right now because we can't hear you too well. We're going to go to a commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking to Dr. Violet Ponders about the Violet T. Lewis Memorial Highway Celebration. We'll go to our commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Think Clean is a minority, woman-owned residential and office cleaning business located east of the river in Anacostia. All of our Think Clean crew members are vaccinated, and we follow CDC and EPA cleaning guidelines using only approved disinfectants, sanitizing products, and equipment that fights the COVID-19 virus. Want a 10% first-timer caller discount? Say you heard about us on the Lyndia Grant Show. For your free estimate, call 202-709-1980. Call us today. Think Clean, spell with a K.
At one of the hardest times in my life, my AmeriHealth Care coach was there for me and my family. I was young, pregnant, and I had no idea what to do next. That was when she stepped in and connected me to the doctors for prenatal care and the Bright Start program, which gave me the resources I needed before and after I gave birth.
Does your care coach still check on you?
She sure does, and she's my son's care coach now too. He has really bad asthma, so she found him a good asthma doctor and signed me up for asthma classes so I know how to care for him. The help of my care coach made all the difference. She gave me the tools to be the best mom that I could be. But I know she's got my back whenever I need her.
At AmeriHealth, we care about your whole family. Call us at 1-877-759-6224 to get connected to your care coach. 1-877-759-6224. This program is funded in part by the government of the District of Columbia Department of Healthcare Finance. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Washington and former religion columnist Lyndia Grant.
Ida B. Wells, born into enslavement, was a journalist and activist. An avid reader, she read through the entire Bible many times. Wells was once asked to leave the ladies' car and sit in the colored train. She refused, and train officials pushed her. Ida B. Wells retaliated, but was pushed off the train at the next stop. A crowd of whites applauded. She vowed to get even. 3 of her close friends were lynched for opening businesses that cut into profits of whites. Everything changed for Wells. She spoke out internationally against lynching of blacks for the rest of her life. Through her efforts, lynching in America nearly disappeared by the time of her death. And NAACP founder, we salute Ida B. Wells for Women's History Month.
Read more in the religion column of the Washington Informer, an award-winning African-American newspaper. We don't report crime or gossip, just positive news. Pick up the Washington Informer or visit us online at WashingtonInformer.com. Call 202-561-4100 for more information.
You're listening to The Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with Lyndia Grant.
All right. Thank you. We're back. We are getting ready to talk to Dr. Violet Ponders. Thank God she's on a landline, so that's going to make that much better. Dr. Violet Ponders is the granddaughter of Dr. Violet T. Lewis. You heard us talk last week about the Violet T. Lewis Memorial Highway that's going to be unveiled. It's already been installed. Dr. Violet T. Lewis founded Lewis College of Business, which provided education and training and became a HBCU in the city of Detroit, Michigan. And this is her granddaughter, who also was the last president of the college. So I'm not going to go into the details because you all have heard a lot about her. I want to give Dr. Ponders a chance to talk about her grandmother and to say hello to our listeners. Welcome to the show today, Violet.
Thank you. And it is a pleasure and a privilege to be on your show today. My grandmother was a grandmother. She was an entrepreneur. She was a leader in the community. She was a lot of things to a lot of people. And what made all of that possible was this personality that I can't really give words to. She was very charismatic. She empowered people. And through that, they were very cooperative with whatever it was that she wanted to do. She initially started the college in Indianapolis, Indiana, her home. To a degree, I kind of wonder what was on her mind, because she started the college at the point where there was a depression in the U.S. The depression led her to move the college back into her home. Fortunately, she got her entrepreneurial spirit from her dad, who was able to do just about anything. He was a carpenter. He was a painter. So he could transform her home over the weekend. From there, when things got better, she moved back to the business district in Indianapolis. When I say she was an entrepreneur, she knew that the college was just a startup business, so she needed extra money. So she had things like a nut shop. My grandmother liked nuts, so I wonder how many nuts she sold versus how many she really ate.
I never heard that.
Oh, yeah. But the shop proved to do what it was that she wanted to do. She was a real entrepreneur because she fed the fumes from cooking the nuts. She put them in the street. So if you smell that, then you're going to want nuts and seek nuts.
Oh, okay, that's right.
She did her business well. Her primary purpose was to train people so that they could get better paying jobs and they could take care of their families. When you went to Lewis Business College, you were the best of the best, because that's what she demanded. She demanded that not only of her students, but of her faculty and her family. As she was an entrepreneur and a community organizer, she was also a grandmother. My sisters and I laugh. She lived above the college in one building. When we hit a certain point in the stairs, she stopped being Mommy TV, which is what we called her, and she became Dr. Lewis or Mrs. Lewis. And if she was back on the steps again and we were talking and we were going up the steps, when that point came, then she switched again. And people are often amazed by the fact that my sisters and I all answer the phone very professionally. I've had people tell me, when you answer the phone, it sounds like you're recording. I'm like, no, I'm live. Can I help you? Because we were trained even as children that you do things in a certain way, and you must show professionalism in what it is that you do. Besides starting the college, she started two other organizations. One is Gamma Phi Delta Sorority. Gamma Phi Delta Sorority is now a national organization. It has a 75-plus year history. She started the sorority because most of her students were females, and she wanted them to have that fraternal organization type experience. So from that one chapter, Alpha chapter at Lewis Business College, we are now across the nation.
That's right.
Dates for me have always proved to be interesting. The sorority was founded in 1943. The other thing she founded was something called the March of Dimes Fashion Extravaganza Committee. Fashion Extravaganza Committee came about in 1953, so there was a 10-year period that I like to call the development period. Fashion Extravaganza came about because she was challenged that black women, or at that point we were Negroes, did not raise money for any charities. And she said, no, that's not true. So she gathered together 11 of her friends, and they started raising money for what was then the fight against polio. March of Dimes existed for 60-plus years. Their primary fundraising activity was a fashion show. The fashion show went off extremely well. The first year they gave it, they asked their patrons to put money into an iron lung. They had many more patrons than they ever expected to attend that first fashion show. They filled up the iron lung, and March of Dimes Fashion Extravaganza was up and running. At its height, it probably had 200-plus women raising money. Polio, which was the emphasis when they first began, is that was eliminated. The vaccine. They went on to fight for birth defects and sickle cell, and the whole premise was we needed to have healthy babies. As African American women, that's important because in so many instances, African American babies die much more so than the larger population. So besides all of this, she was a grandmother. And she, some people would say she doted on her grandchildren. I don't think so, since I'm one of them. But she was always interested in what we were doing. She supported what we did. You could be doing anything, and it was cause for celebration. She loved to entertain, and she was very good at it. Out of all the things...
I remember reading about her having her own radio show, too.
Oh, she had a radio show. She did a column for a newspaper at one point. Her radio show was kind of musically based, but she found a way to include some other things.
But Fowler, before we run out of time, let's talk a little bit about the sign celebration. We only have about 3 more minutes.
Oh, all right, I'll hurry. Ian Conyers was a state senator here in Michigan who learned about my grandmother and decided to investigate and learn more. And he thought that she was worthy of a memorial highway sign, so he put in the legislation to get, and it was unanimously passed by the state of Michigan. And the Violet T. Lewis Memorial Highway is now recognized through signage on a local freeway, the Lodge Freeway, a highly traveled freeway. The sign dedication is next Thursday, and former Wednesday. Yes, you're right. Wednesday, the 25th of August. The College for Creative Studies is the site for the sign dedication. They purchased the old Lewis property, the property that most people associate with Lewis Business College. It was at the corner of Ferry and Kirby for 40-plus years. It was my grandmother's home, and it is the site where thousands of young African Americans were trained. We're very, very excited about that because it will bring recognition to a woman who deserved it. She was not one who was very much so interested in publicity and things like that. She was more interested in the product of a good, viable student.
Well, Fowler, I'd like to thank you for being my guest today. I know I don't have very much time. Just want to ask you to say a word or two about your mom. Yes, I know. Talk a little bit about your mom.
My mother was Phyllis Temple Lewis Ponders. She was my grandmother's firstborn. Mm-hmm. She supported everything my grandmother did, from Gamma Phi Delta to March of Dimes Fashion Extravaganza. And, of course, she was intricately involved in the college. I used to laugh when my mother would go places downtown. I never wanted to go with her because people would stop her. Students would stop her and talk to her, and it would be what should have been a 10-minute trip ended up being a half-hour trip because she had to talk to the students. Mm-hmm. My mother was the quintessential teacher. She was a quintessential educator. She took the students on trips because she believed travel was important. Mm-hmm. She was generally the first person on campus and the last person to leave campus. She made a transition March 2020, if my memory is correct. And we're going to take the time on Thursday, the 26th, to memorialize her. And it will be a celebration, truly a celebration. She was a people person. There are a group of people that call her Friendly Phil. She never met a stranger. And we want to celebrate that life and all that she brought to her students and her family and her extended family. I think everywhere she went, she got an adopted son or daughter.
All right, well, we're going to have to end it right there. But thank you so much for being my guest today, Dr. Violet Ponders. I look forward to seeing you in Detroit next week.
I look forward to seeing you, and we're going to have a grand time celebrating the sign for Violet T. Lewis Memorial Highway and for memorializing Phyllis Lewis Ponders.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. All right. Well, you're listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Just want to ask everyone to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is called the Lyndia Grant Show. If you Google the Lyndia Grant Show, you'll see we just got started with this. Click subscribe, and a copy of my show will show up in your email every week, or on your phone or on your computer. And then pick up the Washington Informer newspaper and read my column. It is called The Religion Corner. I've been writing that column now for 16 years. And this week we featured a story about the Memorial Highway tribute to Dr. Violet Lewis. So if you want to pick up the Washington Informer or go online, you'll see that. And before I close, I want to invite you all out to worship. If your church is not having worship service live and in person, come on out to the All Nations Baptist Church. We are back in church live. We do ask that you will wear a mask. But join us at 11 a.m. at the All Nations Baptist Church, located at 2001 North Capitol Street, Northeast Washington, D.C., We started at 11 a.m. We're not having Sunday school and other services because of COVID, but we are having in-person at 11. Our pastor is Reverend Dr. James Coleman. We invite you to come out and join us. If your service is not open and you're not able to go to church and hear some good singing like our choir can sing, we ask you to come out and join us. Well, I'm going to close now. Words, thoughts, and deeds have a boomerang effect. So be careful what you send out. Scripture says, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. So think on these things from the Lyndia Grant Show. I'm your host, Lyndia Grant. We ask that you will tune in again next week for the same time, 6 p.m., to the Lyndia Grant Show. Until then, good day.
Thank you for listening to the Lyndia Grant Show. Think on these things with your host, Lyndia Grant.